Today we spell redemption.
A-O-B.
Good evening and welcome to the Joust. My name is Naggy. I'm joined once again by my co-host, Mr. Liam McNeil. But
Yes.
Liam, before we get
I almost
underway,
burped into the microphone there,
know,
Jousters. For those watching in the visual medium, I apologise.
the burps always happen when you go up to a microphone.
Yeah.
But Liam, speaking of microphones, it gives me great pleasure to welcome our musical guest, brand new musical guest for this week. Welcome to the Joust stage, Mr. Plug.
Go Knights, do it again. I say go Knights, do it,
Thank you very much, Bit of flair at the end. It was wonderful. It's the kind of flair that I really enjoy. Obviously, the Newcastle Knights coming back to break a 5-game losing streak.
Redempting harder maybe than anyone's ever redempted before.
So much redempt, Liam. And as many Australians went to the ballot box
Yes.
and voted for the libs, the grins,
Yeah.
we decided to put our ballot behind our fearless leader, our very own Prime Minister of the club, Adam O'Brien, because we are very...
Pro, O'Brien.
We're very pro O'Brien,
Very
of
pro
course.
O'Brien.
And very good to see him come through with the win as much as our communist friends over there at the Labor Party.
Well, speaking of our democratic right as Australians, I had my first ever democracy sausage on the weekend.
First ever.
Well, one of my great pieces of advice my dad gave me when I was young, he said, son, never vote.
Yes.
On election day. He
Yeah.
said, early ballot every year, you'll never line up.
Yep.
He's been telling all of the rest of people, because apparently the early ballot lines are
Huge.
hours and hours long. I was in and out in about 5 minutes. I got my vote in. I got my sausage. I bought a number at the Fennell Bay Public School,
Raise the money.
Yeah, raise the money.
How many lollies in
I
the
was
jar?
so proud of Australia that day, because that's how things should function in a democracy.
That's right.
Made me proud, made me swell with joy.
That's
and
right.
My arteries swelled with a sausage inside it.
Government issued bread as well as the worst meat ever contained
You're
in...
not picking. You're not serving it on a bloody loaf of Helga's.
No. Now, question about the democracy sausage, Liam. Very important question. Did they give you the sausage in the one piece of bread and hot dog style?
Yes.
Or did they
I
give it to
didn't know
you...
there's an option. Can you do it the other way?
Well, otherwise it's the 2 pieces of bread with the sausage in the middle.
But then the bread to sausage ratio is way out.
low.
Way
It's
out.
very
The
low.
like the standard piece of bread.
Yes.
It's the perfect ratio.
Yep.
Like maybe if you're gonna because of course if you do the 2 pieces of bread, sometimes you slit the sausage, you slice the sausage down the middle.
Well, this one,
I get that.
they broke this. I had the 2 pieces of bread.
Yeah.
They broke the sausage in half. So then there was sort of...
See, that's the kind of thing you'd get on election day in communist China or
Yeah,
something.
well,
Not in our beautiful Australia.
The Reds
Do
were...
they have elections?
The Reds were
in
under the
communist
bed.
China?
Well, there's only one person to vote for, so
Yeah.
they still have them.
They have
but
them, but it's not very good.
And I don't know if they even offer any sort of meat-filled bread that there.
Clean up on sports bet.
Yeah. They only have also they have the choice of sauces, the barbecue and the tomato. You had those.
The lady even put it on for me. I thought that was really, really quite nice of her.
Oh yeah, I don't really like when they say, "Oh, the sauces are there. Go at your own will."
I wanted to, but then she offered and was so polite that I said, yes, would you? And she got the ratios just right.
Got the ratios. Did the dance down the middle? No, because if you go down the line, no. You want the extra.
You have to have the side-by-side coverage.
And
yeah.
because there's no butter involved. You never see.
no.
No. I don't think they
Not in the working class suburbs that we vote in. Maybe in the electorate of Vaucluse, you might get butter.
Any onion? Here's a question.
Yes,
Any onion? And there was
absolutely.
onion. No onion for me.
Oh, for years I didn't. For years and years I didn't. Then accidentally, I think I was doing a Bunnings sausage sizzle where I was working at the sausage sizzle, and some of them fell onto it. And I was like, "Well, I'm too tired and I've been working too hard." And they fell on, so I just ate them. And they were great. That's a slog doing the Bunnings sausage sizzle.
Oh yeah, I've done it a few times,
terrible.
and it really is.
You have to throw the clothes out. There's that much fat.
You have to have a yeah. Well, I've worked a few Bunnings sausage sizzles, And being behind that, people are saying, "Can I have the white bread, the brown bread, the sausage with this and this?" You have to have a whole system in place.
You had a choice of breads even.
Yeah. They had the white.
Is that
and
Bunnings in Vaucluse now?
Yeah, I think so. Up there, hoity-toity, ivory tower.
Bunnings in Barangaroo, perhaps.
Yeah. It was back in my days when I was working much more interactively with the higher
You're
ups.
the hoity-toity, the hoi polloi. Is that what that? Yeah. Is that a song?
Yeah, I think it's probably is one.
You
But
put your right foot in, your
left foot in. Yeah. Speaking about how the state of the country, the cost of living keeps going up.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And
Stop it, Anthony. Stop the cost of living crisis.
And what do we
It's
do?
easy. Just go out, have a press conference, say, I cease this cost of living crisis.
Doesn't exist.
That's all he's got to do.
That's right.
It's done. We're getting rid of it. Just do it, Tony. We all voted for you.
Just cut down.
Just do it.
Yeah.
What? You calling him Tony?
Tony, yeah. Tony.
Oh, Tony.
Tony Benesi. Yeah, you cut both names down. Yeah, it saves time.
It does.
Tony Benesi.
We got places to be. We've got to save time where possible. Tony
Playing the
Benesi.
keyboard.
Yeah, Tony Benesi might be here next week. But Liam, it's no point
yes.
wasting electricity, precious electricity that costs money on
If I was
appliance.
wasting electricity growing up, I was banished to the yard for the
That's
night.
right. Lights
Yeah.
off. Everything's got to be off. Things at the switches, we have to save as much as we can. But where you can make a big saving is not generating electricity, pushing into appliances that don't work. So if they don't work, you call the appliance guy, making sure that all your electricity is using all the maximum things. The
You want
appliance
to
guy.
optimize your electricity usage.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And the only way that you can do that to make sure that all your appliances are working correctly and as they should is with the appliance guy, Cade Chesworth.
He's like a walking instruction manual.
It's a money
He
saver.
knows it all.
Yeah.
He knows it all. The fine print and everything.
Yeah, that's right. All the heating and the refrigeration, the air conditioning, everything that's white, they call them the white goods, and I think that might be a little bit racist, but they can come in any color, right? As far as I'm concerned, and as far as Cade Chesworth is concerned, they can come in any shape
Will
or
he
size.
fix white goods of all colours, Nagy?
I think so.
Excellent.
I think,
Good. He's a good, right-thinking man.
Yeah, it would be a bit strange if you walked into your laundry and there was just a jet black dryer. You think that thing must be drying immediately?
Well, think of this
it's
now.
like a rocket.
You could set up an outdoor dryer,
Yeah.
a completely jet black one.
Yeah.
You would also harness the power of the sun, which would heat the unit.
Heat the unit. Yeah, you
There
wouldn't have
go.
to turn it on.
Nah, Cade will get you working on that one for us, mate. A jet black tumble dryer, please and thank you.
I've never had a dryer. Have you had a dryer?
Yeah, we're not allowed to wash the towels in it, which I hate because now our towels are crispy. They're crispy towels.
I once was a bit late for work, and we in a previous house I had a dryer for a very, very short amount of time, and I was like, this is excellent because I'm just going to wash my shirt in the morning, whack it in the dryer. But I really wanted to dry quickly. I ranked up the heat way too high, and then it's drying. It's
Come out and
drying.
it was a
it's
glove.
drying. Well, no, the buttons on the shirt broke. You also once put your pants in the oven. No.
Yes.
Pants in the
Yes.
oven and then pants in the in the car, hoping that the greenhouse effect would
Yeah,
draw
I
the
thought
moisture out.
I thought because I had a spill. I fell asleep with a long neck at a party one night, and
Can
I woke
happen.
up and my pants were wet, and I had about an hour to get to footy.
Yep.
And so I thought, what better idea than to give them a quick rinse, chuck them in the oven at I think 200 for 15, 20 minutes.
Yep.
Didn't work, so I hung
No.
them in the car, tried to generate a greenhouse effect, didn't work.
Didn't
So
work.
I spent the day in wet pants.
Wet pants.
I really thought the oven would work. for that.
I once did underpants in the oven and the elastic ruined. The elastic is the first to go. They don't tell you that. There's no warning.
Do you have a whole wardrobe of clothes that you ruined by trying to dry
I
them
keep them.
incorrectly?
They're damaged. There's no buttons on the shirt. The elastic are ruined on my underpants, but I continue to wear them. Oh, Jesus. It's
We're not made of money. You can't buy a new pair of underwear for every day of the week.
They don't tell us these things, Liam, but they should.
They don't teach it in school. They
They
really
don't-
should.
And if they didn't teach it in school, they should make up for it by reporting it on the news. Thank you, Sump. Now, the first thing that's coming through the news has
Yes.
to be the last round of football, Liam. Some would describe it as magic.
I think I'd agree with him.
It
You
was-
describe something as magic, it better be bloody magic. And I tell you, I think it was another resounding success. We'll see, of course, the crowd numbers here. Total crowd numbers over the course of the Magic Round weekend, 149,196. Absolutely dwarfing blowing out of the water last year's poultry. Sorry, we got the
No,
numbers
it's
wrong.
really the numbers wrong. It's 149,326.
Absolutely dwarfing and blowing out of the water last year's number of
You wouldn't believe this.
149,196.
96, that's right.
Yeah, the joke didn't really work
It
out.
didn't land,
Didn't
as,
land.
as cleanly as it could have.
You guys put the joke together in your head. Put the joke together in your head. It'll be just as funny as it was just now.
200 extra people there or thereabouts, I think, and
Rampant growth.
I think it
Uncontrollable
showed.
growth.
It showed, or I think at least 200 Newcastle Knights supporters going up there to see our wonderful team break their losing streak. I said break a 5-game losing streak, but really they maintain that losing streak and they just add a win.
Yeah.
They don't add to the losing streak.
Yeah.
So it's not breaking a losing. They broke a losing streak, but they didn't break a 5-game losing streak.
What? Didn't they?
Well, the 5-game losing streak still remains.
Okay, so they broke what would have been a 6-game losing
Exactly.
streak. Right.
Yeah. So, thank you very much. Thank you, Sam. Now, there is... there was a question around the Newcastle Knights about scoring points.
Yes.
We decided to answer that question, of course, with our
With a
fearless leader.
yes.
With a yes.
Resounding yes.
We can score points. We hadn't hit that magic 3-0 before.
I don't think we'd really cleared the 2-0, had we?
No,
There was
20
a game against the Dolphins.
The Dolphins,
I guess,
26 points scored.
Yeah.
But we went out there and we never looked like losing.
No.
We decided, hang on a second, we remember what this is. This is the try line. And it's not our own.
You need to go on the other side of
it's
it.
there. Or
Again, why didn't Adam say that in round 1? Just go on the other side of the try line with the Steeden. Use gravity to ground the ball.
Yep.
But I think that's obviously something we'll come back to more. But I would just like to discuss with you, Naggy, the legacy of Magic Round.
Yeah.
The importance of Magic Round to the rugby league.
Short legacy.
Now,
yeah.
it is a short legacy, but sometimes the shortest legacies are the goodest
Are the
ones.
nicest.
How long was Napoleon Bonaparte in charge of France?
Couple of years.
Like a couple of years.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it. And he's remembered throughout history as one of the greatest emperors of all time.
That's right.
And so I think every year Magic Round seems to grow and grow and it gets better and better. And I'm looking forward to getting to one, 1 year. I think it's been a
Eventually,
raging success. But there's talks, Naggy, about moving Magic Round. Now, where do you move Magic Round to, Naggy? Say you're Mr. Volandis, I'm Mr. Abdo. What are you
Yes,
saying?
yeah.
Where do you put it?
Money. We need money.
We need money.
Money.
Where's the money?
Where's the money? Obviously,
Kong.
we're trying to show
It's in the
this.
center of Macau.
Show this game here. We've got 2 countries to choose from because the beautiful game of rugby league is played, of NRL is played over 2 countries. And we could go over there to New Zealand, which would, I think, increase flight numbers a fair bit to go over there because there's only about 12 people over there.
There's not many good swimmers who could cross the Tasman Sea.
I don't-
I've swum in the Tasman Sea also, and it's fucking freezing.
Has it been done?
Oh,
I don't know.
my God.
Everyone does the channel.
Susie Moroney would have done it in her day if she'd chosen to.
Yeah, that's all she would have.
Yep.
I'm sure. I back you, Suze. But then obviously we got the new team, which we'll be covering a little bit later, over there in Perth. Is Perth magic enough for Magic Round?
No.
Okay,
It's magical in and of itself for its own reasons, but I'll tell you, Naggy, why I don't think they should move Magic Round. First of all, it's a rugby league celebration,
It
right?
is, yeah.
What's the best rugby league stadium in the world?
But possibly outside of our very own McDonald.
Of course, yeah, that goes. That's the best multi-sport facility in the
think
world.
so, yeah, but
in terms of pure rugby league facility,
I think it would be Suncorp.
got to be
Stadium.
Lang
Yeah,
Park,
yeah.
absolutely. Now, what's one of the best rugby league streets in the world? One of the heart and soul of rugby league. If it was a street, what street would it be?
The one that they drive down before
Caxton Street.
Caxton, yeah.
Now, to take away the most
Is that what the pub's named
magical...
after? The Caxton? I've been calling it Claxton. Anyway, sorry, continue on. Sorry. Sorry about that. I'll rub that out of my memory later.
Yeah.
Sorry, later.
My brother-in-law actually was on the drink one night at the Caxton Street Hotel, and he said him and his mates towed a car up Caxton Street because it had broken down. I thought,
very
that
good.
sounds like a Paul Kelly song, doesn't it? I towed a car up Caxton Street. Yeah.
yeah.
But look, in terms of a rugby league precinct,
Yes.
I think this is absolutely the best venue you could ever hope to have for it. Now, I'm glad you mentioned as well growing the game. Do we
Yes.
take it to a region where that needs a bit of an injection of rugby league? And I say no, Naggy, and let me tell you why.
Why?
I think Magic Round is a celebration for rugby league fans.
Yes.
Absolutely, we should grow the game. We should take games to other places. But if you're a fan who's new to rugby league,
Yes.
are you going to go and watch 3 games of a sport you're only just sort of learning to dilly-dally with?
Yeah, you go up to Darwin to watch it? Probably not. Probably not.
So for me, Magic Round needs to be for the diehards, the rusted-on fans, the people who are actually very genuinely going to watch 8 games of rugby league
Yes.
in a weekend. So I admire, Naggy, your generosity in farming it out to a city that may need an injection of rugby league fandom.
There's only
but
about
I just,
5 cities in Australia.
Well, there's not many. That's it. It's a short list. But I just think, it's a tough sell on someone. Hey, there's this game you might like. You might
like
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Why don't try watch 8 games of it in your very first weekend?
Immediately back to back. It might be a bit much. It might be. I take your point, Liam, and they go up there to Brisbane, and also rusted on fans still most at home in the colour of rust, which is maroon, which happens to be what the stadium is decorated with.
This nation was built on rust.
On rust. On hard work and salty air, because the rust gets in everything.
It's everywhere.
Have you heard of concrete cancer? It's a thing. It's when moisture gets into like the render, and then all the metal parts get rust and they expand, and then the render collapses.
Surely there's a better name for it than concrete cancer.
I know it does sound a little bit dire. It does sound a little bit.
It's a bit
dire.
over the top, I think.
Would you take it to Christchurch? Would you take it over the pond?
No.
We wouldn't do the swim. Okay.
Again, for so many reasons, I think Brisbane is the perfect location for it. I don't know that over the ditch there. I don't know that they've got a stadium that would be suitable for it. Obviously, the Super Rugby stadiums have the size and the capacity.
They had the Nines for many years.
They had the Nines for many years. But I think in terms of a rugby league, let's face it, a heartland. I think Brisbane is absolutely perfect, and I hope they don't move it.
I hope
it's
so.
one for the diehards, Magic Round. I'm all for expanding the game. Send shit wherever the hell you want, but I think keep Magic Round in Brisbane.
It's a gift for the NRL supporters, and who doesn't like Magic? It's amazing. The AFL obviously has Gather Round, which makes a little bit more sense.
What's Gather Round?
Well, it's the same as Magic Round, but they call it Gather Round because everyone gathers around
that's
much
clever.
more clever.
Much clever. Well, Magic Round, of course, was just stolen immediately from Super League. It was just a Super League thing, and Vlandie said, I'm doing this great thing. It's called Magic Round. We're playing all the games in one weekend. And Super League looked at him and just said, what?
What? Hang on a second. Speaking of Super League, Liam, one of the great employees of Super League over there now is our very own Australian Luke Keary.
Yeah.
Now, Luke Keary, we broke last week, came out and said some pretty
exclusively
disparaging things.
Incendiary things.
Yeah, slanderous, possibly, about the game over there, because he's gone over there for his first year.
Well, I think slander would indicate that maybe he was wrong, which I'm not sure about that.
He's got the truth defense, which is wonderful, because he's described it as the broadcast coverage has been unwatchable. Now, he is in the field of entertainment.
He is.
And he is saying that it's not entertaining.
And he did describe the on-field product as horrendous. And he is in the business of the on-field product.
So he's contributing to the very thing to say it's shit. And he was saying that no one over here, fellas, and we barely watch it. I'm in it.
We don't know the people who are in charge. He's one of the high-name bloody big ticket players. He doesn't know who's running the show.
No.
There's an ivory tower somewhere. He doesn't know where it is.
Doesn't know. Faceless men.
But the RFL, they've cracked down on him and they've said, Mr. Keary, you're wrong and we're going to fine you.
Yeah,
it's because they don't have any funding. They've fined him purely to generate some revenue.
They said They said, what have you got? What have you got on you? £57? That's fine.
I say, Luke, we're going to throw a hat around.
Yeah. Frank's over there. He's dealing in francs.
No, euros.
The French of euros.
They said, we're going to throw a hat around. Luke, if you could contribute your fine to that, that'll be great.
That'll see us through to next Wednesday.
We might be able to get new globes in the lights at Uddersfield, maybe. I don't know. But look, Mr. Keary, he was merely exercising his right in a democracy to say as he please, because it is a democracy. He's not playing rugby league in communist China. No. He's playing league in the socialist powerhouse of France.
Yeah, they love to ride over there. They're probably flipping cars as we speak.
And just beheading people left, right, and centre.
The Star Hotel riot was a blip in the radar over there. They do that every other day. They can't control themselves as soon as anything happens.
Well, if I was spending my days doing nothing but eating fondue and drinking wine, I'd be rioting every day too.
You'd be angry.
I'd be angry that people would try and be changing my way of life.
Diarrhea.
Yeah.
That's what you'd have. You can't stop it. Cheese and wine. Speaking of Huddersfield over there in the Super League, our very own Huddersfield boy has been called home, and this was, of course, broken today by our good friend of the show, Barry Toohey, our very own chip-stealing gobbledock.
Well, he didn't steal. They were his chips. He bought the chips.
They were the chips, He was hungry with
and he kindly offered the chips, of course.
He did.
Now, Naggy, you and all Jousters would know that I love Dom Young.
Yes.
I've always loved Dom Young. When he left the club, I said, I love you, Dom. Go well in your future. Yep. Deep in my heart. So I would be over the moon to have Dom Young back.
We'll have a serious look, they say. And then Adam O'Brien came out today and says, we'll welcome him to come home.
Well, I think
which
Adam even said we never wanted him gone.
we never wanted him gone.
We
Come
went
ho-
for the money. The finger thing means the money.
And we've worked out a great way to keep Dom Young by bringing him back and having the Roosters pay most of his salary.
See, now, I don't think this has ever happened to the Knights. This is the thing that always gets done upon the Knights.
Upon the Knights.
But I don't think anyone's actually said, we'll send someone to the Knights.
Yeah, we love
We'll pay them.
We love paying other clubs.
Yeah.
Other clubs is great. We just hand out the wallet. We say, take what you need.
Yeah.
And also take our players. But now we've said, hang on a second. Come back, Dom Young. We were going to offer you much more money. We're going to pay you less. But that club over there, our rivals, are going to pay you the rest of it.
And I think the Roosters are liable to pay more than half. Is that
I think
correct?
so. I think
you'll be getting about 200,000 from the Knights and maybe upwards of 250,000 for the Roosters.
That seems to be
what
what's
a great
happening.
deal.
Great deal. You
Yeah.
you couldn't write about it.
Finally, the used car salesman running the Roosters there gets fleeced.
We've-
Usually the one to do the fleecing.
We've put
Finally, he's being fleeced upon.
right where we want him there.
Yeah.
At the age of 23, even though that the Herald advertised him as a 25-year-old. Not the case. Hopefully he comes back to the Newcastle Knights, and I know that he's still got plenty of football.
Well, I've heard it's as good as done.
I hear it's good.
Barry
as done.
says it could well be this weekend, in fact.
We've signed off on it, so
Yeah.
I think there's no more hurdles to jump.
No.
He will be back in Newcastle Knights colours possibly as early as next week against the Parramatta
And don't
Eels.
let anyone tell you, Joust, as I always loved Dom Young, and I never backflipped on my arm. I love Dom Young there.
And we talked about the red and blue and
Yes.
possibly the white, but now you want to talk about the red and black, Liam. Over there in Perth, over there in Western Australia, the bloody state government there has decided to come to the party. Hang on a sec, we might have the Bears back, the Western Bears, Western Northern Bears.
Well, those of you who are listening to this show after we record it, if you're listening to the show before we record it, well done. I'd love to buy your DeLorean from you. But for those listening, you would have seen a few hours before we hit record here that it's officially been announced. The NRL finally put the statement out that the Perth Bears will be entering the competition in 2027.
Hello.
Given the amount of flip-floppery on this deal over the last 2 years,
Who knows what's happening
I'll
next
believe it when they're running out round 1 2027. So I don't dare believe the shills
Yep.
in their ivory tower
Over there.
giving us bread and wine to distract us from the real problems in this country.
That's right.
But speaking of which, so the NRL and the WA government, they've struck up a deal for $85 million. What a great amount of money for rugby league.
Yeah.
So it will be obviously to fund the expansion.
Grassroots, of
most-
course.
yeah.
Is that to plant the grass, or is that we have enough
Well, I
time?
think you plant the seeds,
Plant
and then
the seeds.
and then it spreads the roots,
The
and then you
roots.
bring the grass. Of
course.
We're no botanists here, Justin.
No,
I think
no,
that's how it works.
rubbish.
And so you're looking at about $65 million for grassroots investment, which is great because the thing for rugby league for so long is everyone's, where's the grassroots? Where's it going? Well, you're about to get $65 million bloody dollars on it,
And of course,
which is great.
$20 million because you can't have a club now without a centre of excellence.
No, apparently not.
otherwise they're not excellent at all.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
And imagine that, beginning with excellence.
Beginning
the
with-
club hasn't even begun, and it's
Stop.
already well in the field of excellence.
Seeds,
Yeah.
roots, excellence. What a quick jump we made.
And I think, obviously, the investment into the grassroots is fantastic for the game because we see Melbourne has been such a wonderful, terrible.
Nursery, would you say?
No, they've been terrible nursery.
Terrible nursery,
How many
but they-
Victorian players can you name in the NRL?
No, but they buy the plants and
Yeah.
then they let them grow after.
Is that how a nursery works?
Well, they have to buy plants at one stage, I imagine.
Wouldn't they grow their own plants at the nursery?
Potentially.
Yeah, potentially.
Maybe they're just stealing them. I'm not sure. But they end up with the plants, and then the plants continue to
They
grow.
nurture the plants
They
from a
nurture the
bulb,
plants.
perhaps.
That's what they're,
Yeah.
they're like a child thing at the infancy
Yeah.
of the plant, and then they say you're growing, and then they sell them off to other people.
A good point. Now, I think this is huge for the Perth Bears because obviously Western Australian Rugby League, it did actually do quite well
Yes.
after the Crushers.
Yep.
I went over there last year. There was, I think, about a 16 first grade competition, which is pretty
Not
cool.
too bad. Yeah.
But I think a huge investment is needed in the grassroots. But I think what people fail to recognise as well is that North Sydney already have a very strong established grassroots system in North Sydney.
Right.
So you've already got sort of the structures in place on this side.
Base over there.
You put the structures in place on that side.
Couple of planes.
You never know. We might see Western Australians in the rugby league before long. Wasn't Kalen Ponga born in Western Australia?
He spent some time
Port
everywhere
Hedland?
in Australia. He has been and gone to school, apparently.
Yeah.
So who knows, we might even see our beloved Kalen Ponga go over there and say, I want to wear the red and black.
Oh, that's it. Now they've just got another team that the journos can link Kalen Ponga to on a slow news day.
Publish it.
Oh, that's annoying.
Now, Liam, would you think if there's any continue, like they pick Perth because
Yep.
Perth is full of mines,
Yep.
that's holes in the ground.
Yep.
Bears lives in caves, which are
Which are
holes in the ground. Would
Yep.
you think maybe there's a connection there?
Absolutely.
Well, maybe
Absolutely. I think that was the first line in the proposal. proposal. Where do bears live, Mr. Volandis?
Maybe if,
In caves.
if the Bears can bring up some nickel, we might be in business. Find some gold seams, is what they are. The coal
Yes.
seams, gold.
Are we still mining uranium in this country?
I think so.
Yeah.
We're selling it to
Probably,
someone else.
yeah, probably
though.
not a good idea.
Probably to India.
Just keep it there. Keep the uranium there.
Keep our
I'll
uranium
tell you what,
here, Tony.
Given what's going on in the Kashmir region the last week and a half, I wouldn't be sending any plutonium there.
They've got enough bombs.
I've got enough.
Yeah, they're waiting to blow up the world. Justice, we're going to take
Show
a quick
just got
halftime break,
dark.
and we'll be back very, very soon to talk everything our Newcastle Knights win. But to play us out for halftime, please welcome our musical guest, Mr. Sunplug.
Let the big kids run into each other. 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 More tape. More tape. More tape.
And we just beat the rabbits at Suncall from Magic Round. And Fletcher, he got 3 tries. I'm glad we gave him the ball in 12th place. 30-4.
Thank you, Mr. Lug. Liam, I think our very own Sunplug has really illustrated how important that win was against the Rabbitohs. Because not only going up against our old coach there in Wayne
Our
Bennett,
former flame.
but we were also going up against the
History.
the losing streak.
My voice has popped. History.
History, which is they're in front of 40,000 people, which we're not used to playing in front of because our stadium is compacted.
Very few teams would be used to playing in front of 40,000. To be fair,
That's
Naggy.
right. That's
to
right.
be fair.
And so they went out there with a huge audience and a lot of hope from our supporters as well as our very own podcast. And we said we really think that they're going to click and find their groove again, even if it is against a team that was missing a few of their stars.
Well,
this is the kind of scoreline we want.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Naggy. I think it's a bit of a coaching masterstroke from Adam O'Brien because you see there's an old boxing tactic.
Yes.
And all boxers do it, be it, Floyd Mayweather or, the guy at the PCYC fighting on the undercard on the Thursday night in front of 10 people. If you're on a bit of a losing streak, if you're on a cold streak, got a big match coming up, and they won't admit this. Most boxers won't admit this, but they all do it.
They do.
You go to your nearest preschool, find the smallest kid there, and then just beat the shit out of him.
Beat the shit, yeah.
Absolutely.
The living crap out of
It's
them.
a tactic as old as sports itself.
Throwing
And
a-
I felt like that's what this game was for the Knights. Just
It was.
beating up a poor, small, defenseless preschool student.
But were they defenselessly, man? And
They were defenseless.
to come through with 5 tries, 5 conversions as well. Thank you very much, Caitlin Ponga, to find your kicking talents once again, getting more opportunities than he usually would.
That's it. He hasn't had much practice so far this year.
And we thought at half time, 18-0. Hang on a second, we've got the points on our side. We don't have the nil.
It's the wrong nil. It's on the
the
wrong side
nil,
of the column.
Yeah. We love going into half time at nil, and all of a sudden we've got the points and they've got the nil. We've kept the nil.
Do you think the players came off like, oh, God, we're losing again, Adam? Adam, what are we doing? He said, no, boys, you're winning.
18,
Yeah.
us, nil, them.
Well, I thought Adam O'Brien, our brave coach, did say something in the sheds at halftime, and he said, all right, boys, we haven't won this. We're not going out to defend a lead. This
That's right.
game isn't over.
That's right.
Which, again, why did he tell them before that the game was over
The
at
game was
halftime?
over. I kept telling him that. Yeah,
Stop
He said,
telling him that, Adam. And he
Poor,
stopped telling
poor.
him that.
It was a
And
poor
look at
game
that,
plan, yeah.
30-4 or whatever rubbish score it was.
30-4. We didn't give him the nil, but
O'Brien.
that's right. We're pro Brian here at this podcast,
Yep.
and we are very happy to be pro Brian, our fearless leader, pulling us out of our losing streak. Looking
Where were the chips, Naggy?
right on the table.
Where does he like the chips?
On the table.
Down.
Down.
Loves his chips down.
On the table. That's where they go. The further down's on the floor.
Yeah.
So it was good to see that we could get a win against our old coach. It was good to see us get a win in general.
And answer the critics quite loudly and rambunctiously. And now only 2 points out of the 8.
That's right.
Realistically, the Newcastle Knights are 1 win outside of the top 8
That's right.
after round 9.
Who would have thought?
Amazing.
Who would have thanked it?
Not us. Not us.
Fletcher Sharp there with a very impressive 3 tries. Fletcher 3 tries.
On his birthday, of course.
Yeah.
21st birthday, 3 tries. 1 try for every 7 years he was alive.
That's how they do it.
Yeah.
That's what happens. If you're out there at 48, geez, you're in for a handful of tries. It was a game that wasn't the best conditions, because obviously usually they say conditions good, conditions fine.
The conditions were shit.
The conditions were shit. It kept pouring with rain.
That's it. It was on and off between monsoonal rain and sort of light sunshine. It was really odd to watch.
They kept saying, when you see the rain on the television.
Yeah, I was going to say, because usually you don't see it.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you can
yeah.
see the rain,
It was
that's
just
bad.
howling down up there. And I was very happy to see the Knights get their game out of the way before the tractors turned into a complete mud pit.
It did, didn't it?
And so I was like, that would be just our luck. If we look at the stats, Liam, which is very important to a win, not the stats that you would typically see.
Well, that's it. I think if we saw that stat sheet 2 weeks ago, we'd say, oh, good, how much did we lose by? Let's all go home because this is terrible.
We didn't win the possession battle. We only completed it at 73%, and they completed it at 79%. A lot of people were saying that the Souths were throwing away the ball every opportunity, which they may have done.
They did, in
but
fact.
we
do.
did a
Yeah.
little bit more of it. 14 errors again. We didn't keep it under 10. It was a very rainy game. But the one stat that was really in our favour, that we thank God that we remembered about this stat, was line breaks. 11 line breaks to 2.
And 49 tackle breaks to 29.
Beautiful.
I think what we've seen here, and I really like this, because it wasn't yet an 80-minute performance.
No.
So, for example, I think the first 3 tries were in 13 minutes
Yes.
and then went the rest of the half without scoring.
That's right.
Whereas previously, we would have had these not good stats
Not good.
prior to the attacking
Yep.
ones, but also would have been losing.
That's right.
So I was, buoyed my spirits to see that this
Very
was a
buoyed.
big win without yet putting together an 80-minute performance.
That's
Because
right.
what we see is that if you can string together 80 minutes of good rugby league at that level, we'll win, because we played maybe a third good rugby league. We'll win
Maybe.
90 points to 4 if they can play 80 minutes of good footy.
It is within our grasp to win 90 points to 4. What I really liked about the Newcastle Knights was, even though we had a lead, and probably this is what happens when you're in front by so many points, you can start, throwing the ball around a little bit. But it was the offloads in the rain. Matt Croker makes a half
Brave.
break. Yeah,
It was brave.
Throws the breaks his tackle and just lofts the ball to a Fletcher Sharp down
That
the
was
middle.
incredible. That was so beautiful.
God,
My
that put some blood to the penis, didn't it? All of it.
It exploded.
I couldn't breathe for a while. There
Cock
was
blew right off my groin.
there was none of a lung. It was just all in the penis.
But I don't think we've seen. We have seen here the imprint of what AOB footy is when it works.
When it works.
It wasn't an elaborate, well constructed attack.
No.
It was still quite conservative. There was a few times where the Knights were tackled with the ball on the last tackle without
right.
even looking to kick it.
No.
But it's conservative football with simple attack, and when your guns and your weapons are firing, they're unstoppable.
Fire away,
So
I
I
say.
don't think you saw much difference in the game plan.
On the broadside. That's
On the
what they-
broadside, yeah, the broadside, where you unleash all the 16-pounder cannons at the same time.
I do love history. I would love to be the one in the ship when they like and say fire, and just just have the 14-year-old boy that is now. Can't do anything with his life because he's shell shocked because he's been standing next to a cannon his whole life, lighting the fuse and then watching the cannon
I think
go into the other
If
ship.
a lot of people were given the gift of time travel,
Yeah.
some people they'd go back and they'd kill Hitler. Some
might-
people
they
would
might.
go back to witness Alexander Graham Bell make the first telephone call.
You've got to say
I
Alexander
would,
the Great.
No,
But
I
then he
would
went the
go
other way.
back and just kind of, if I could hover above the Battle of Jutland.
Oh yes.
And let's watch the Battle of Jutland duke out in the North Sea there.
You didn't go Trafalgar. Now
No.
Jutland is.
Jutland was World War One. It was the only
Okay,
really
all right.
great combat between the surface fleets of the Royal Navy
Yeah.
and the German.
Now they also had the gun, but you didn't have to light the fuse of that thing. It
No.
was all done by machine.
It was all machine.
but it was also a long way away.
They were out of sight mostly.
I want to see when they're really close and say fire, and then say, "Oh, Look at all those people are killed.
And then
Great.
let's draw arms and cross to the other ship.
Yeah, you go over there. I always think if you're the last one, you'd be looking back at your other ship going, shit,
I'm going to say on this boat.
shit.
This boat works.
Yeah,
There's no swords on it.
And you get stabbed to death in view of all your comrades over there.
What a way to go.
The stats of our back five, you spoke about a back five, powerful back five movement, obviously looking at Greg Marju, Bradman Best, Dan Gagai, and James Spiller, possibly, all over
Less
200,
spiller than usual, but still a spiller no less.
all over the 200 metres.
But what
And-
we talked about, remember last week, that they were going too hard doing the yardage work, making the big meters, that they're too tuckered out to attack. Turns out they're not too tuckered at all.
Not tuckered at all.
They just needed the right conditions.
That's right.
Yeah.
Pitching down with the rain, apparently, is our best football.
And I think you even saw there was a couple of tries left on the board. Obviously, the Bradman bus left edge was remarkable. But there was a couple of offloads, a couple of passes that either went to ground or went behind. Because Greg, in attack, he stands infuriatingly flat. He stands in line with Bradman, which makes sense because Bradman's catch pass from right to left, dead flat, phenomenal. He does it better than almost any centre in the game.
Anything outside of the flat pass, Greg is either in front of it or behind it.
Exactly. So I think there was even a couple of tries left on the board there that could have really bumped that score up. But what a great thing for rugby league.
Greg of the bus obviously doesn't want to do any additional moving than he needs to, so he tries to get as flat as possible to think I'm just going to cover all my bases here and hopefully the ball comes straight into my basket.
We all know that the people in charge of the Knights are penny pinchers. They don't want to utilise too much petrol. They don't want too much fuel burn when it comes to Greg the bus.
Injecting him. Obviously Fletcher there. Fletcher Sharp with the 3 tries. He's got to score a bunch more hat-tricks in his career. He's absolutely unstoppable there with his Cessnock haircut.
For one of his tries, he did something that you rarely ever see. So if, a rugby league player has made a break, they've got a fullback covering across, they'll use maybe a step, they'll use a change of direction. But there's very few players who are so fast that they will literally just go around them.
Just curve him.
James Roberts was one of the best I've ever seen at it. He would just go in a curving line around you. And Fletcher Sharp did that for that one try. And it was unbelievable to see how fast he is. And that he can literally, it was under 12s. You just run give him the ball and say, there's a couple of, just run around them. Don't step them. Don't, try and shimmy and trick them. Just go around.
Fletcher the Ferrari out there from the coalfields. But Liam, speaking about the 200 metres, 200 metres of with the ball carrying, the ones that do the tough bits in the middle, I think it gets a particular, as you would draw a bit of hat wear from your head in a segment. We'd like to give to our favourite player of the week in our Hats Off.
Hats off. Hats off. Hats off.
Hats off this week for you, Liam.
I've gone for my hats off this week, Jacob Safidi. It's one of those things where you don't know how much...
Oh, nice try, Sam. You almost got this.
Oh,
One of two.
You're better with history, so I thought I'd let you take Gagai.
Okay,
Here we go.
Here we go.
You don't know what you've got till it's gone, do you? And I don't think we truly appreciated just how much we missed the go forward of Jacob Safidi in the front row. He was immense. His first stint was he was an absolute juggernaut. He ran for 210 metres, 80 post-contact metres, which is more than the run metres of both of South Sydney's starting props.
That's right.
With 3 tackle busts. And that's something that the Knights have been missing so much. Leo Thompson, as wonderful as he is, hasn't really been able to provide that go forward. And I think Jacob Safidi in his return...
You need a 7-foot Fijian, Liam, is what you need in the middle.
Everyone needs that in their life. Get one for around the house if you don't have any. And I think it's come in a very timely part of the season because, Naggy, what's happening in about a month, maybe 6 weeks? That we love, our favourite thing about rugby league.
State of origin.
Yep. And let's face it, we're flush for outside backs at the Blues, we're flush for second rows, we're flush for full backs.
Yep.
Where might we have a little bit of room to manoeuvre with, say, bringing back someone from the past?
Are you going to say Jacob Safidi?
Jacob Safidi for Origin. You heard it here first, Jousters. I thought
he's-
he was just absolutely immense. His contribution was just remarkable.
Incredible.
And you really told when he came off, that's sort of when we started getting a bit more into the grind, into a bit of the nitty-gritty. So my hats off go to Jacob Safidi. Welcome back.
If only we had 2 of them.
If only we had 2.
I've been saying that for years.
Let's get those Scottish guys on the phone and see if we can clone him.
Now, it would have been very easy for me to give the hats off to Fletcher Sharp.
Too
obviously,
easy,
with
I
the 3.
think.
Too easy, so right there. But I like to give it to the 200-game veteran of the Newcastle Knights. 200 games for the Newcastle Knights, Dan Gagai. He had an incredible game there with over 200 running metres. He just seems like he's got full of energy. He's playing with a man that was 10 years younger than he is actually. He's playing like a guy with less rings on the stump. You only see that when you cut the tree down, then you can count the rings.
Have you got rings on your stump, Naggy? I'd
Oh,
be
well,
consulting
well,
with a
we-
medical professional.
have to go
But I
straight.
think we gave
10
the-
offloads, Liam. Is that no one offload?
One
Sorry.
offload.
That's one. It's with an O.
Before tackle busts, a line break, 2 line break assists. What a game for the 200 game man. And of course, Naggy, you remember when he came back to the Knights, he said, I owe the people of this town. Because when he was here previously, let's face it, Knights were shit.
Yep.
Very, very bad. And he famously was, one of the few shining
Shining
stars,
lights.
shining lights at the time.
Have a go, Gagai, they would say. They would say, please, do something.
Especially that year where I think he scored 5 tries for Queensland in the Origin, but only 4 tries for the Knights. in
That
the
sounds
season.
about right also.
But I think it's fantastic to see that Danga Guy got a win for game 200. He truly is a Knights great, I think it's safe to
Loves
say.
it.
Given
Bleeds
his
it.
200, he loves it. He bleeds red and blue. And so not only to see him hit that 200, but to see him do it with class and with style and with power and with brute force.
Panaz.
With panaz.
Yeah, it was great to see Dango. Hopefully,
Panache.
panache is a much better word to describe it than panaz. Panaz sounds
That's not
like
a word to describe
maybe
anything.
Sounds
That's
like
not a
sauce.
word.
Maybe
Yeah.
like I'll have the panaz,
Panaz
on the side.
Yeah. It's a bit spicy.
It's a bit spicy, the panaz. I just like to dip. So it was good also going up against his former coach there in Wayne Bennett twice over. So it was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, true, because he had him at Brisbane and at South Sydney.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
correct? He had him at
That's
Brisbane
true.
in 11?
That's
Oh, wow.
correct. Yeah, Brisbane, Knights, South Sydney, and the Knights again. This is the only club time that he hasn't had Wayne Bennett as a coach for a period.
What an interesting statistic, Nagy.
Potentially Wayne Bennett might be coming back because he's still got Dango Guy at the club.
And the way he's playing, he could get another good 4 or 5 years out of him, I
think so.
reckon.
Like,
Yeah.
And when we take our hats off, Liam, we have to return them to our head, and
Yes.
our segment we like to call hats back on.
You put your hat on.
Thank you, Sump. Now, this is a bit of an obscure one. It actually
It
goes...
is. I didn't know we were doing one at all.
It goes back to me. I'm putting my hat back onto myself, and I tell you why. Because I'm watching the game with a good round about Newcastle Knights fan and Kelly Wilson,
Friend of the show.
friend of the show,
Beloved friend of the show,
Beloved
I
friend
would
of the
say.
show.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it with him, and the rain's pouring down, and I'm like, oh, we're going to make a mistake. We didn't make a mistake, and then the rain stops, and I'm like, oh, when it's greasy, it's even harder. And then when the rain starts pouring again, I decided to say out loud that, Kelly, that it's actually better when the rain's pouring because their hands are more secure. They're thinking
of
about the
course.
rain. And that's exactly when James Spiller just drops one cold 20 metres out from our own line. I think, why did I put the mocker on him?
Did you call James Spiller to apologise, Nagy?
I should.
should.
I should let him know that
Yeah.
it's not actually his
You've got
hands.
Adam O'Brien on the speed dial.
It was purely the
At
mocker.
least pass the message.
What is the mocker to put on a
Oh, I've
player?
no idea.
I always think it's like the mocker, like a coffee.
It sounds kind of racially motivated.
Oh, potentially. I'll put the
Yeah, I'll
mocker
put the
on
mocker
him.
on you, like,
Hopefully it
yeah.
isn't, but I put the mocker on James Schiller, and he was doing so well. He ran
He
over
was doing
200
really
metres.
well
He's
before
a
that.
good.
Nagy, gosh dang it.
He's a good boy. And I think when Dom Young comes back into this side, that we'll find Schiller finding more of a Tawala sort of role where
The dependable backup.
He will
the
also-
club man that every team needs one of.
he's played some centre before, and I think he will play centre again. And especially
Perhaps
if we lose.
when Bradman Best goes to play Origin.
I
with
think
his
so.
teammate Jacob Safidi.
That's where I think we're going to.
Oh, okay.
That's where I think we'll find him. We might lose the Hong Kong hero himself. He might
Hong
be-
Kong don't have a state of origin team, Nagy.
No, the Hong Kong hero being Kyle McCarthy.
Yeah,
from-
but Hong Kong don't have a state of origin team.
No, he
How's
doesn't,
Kyle
no.
McCarthy going to play state of origin?
Well, no, he just won't come into the side
Oh,
because
okay.
we've got James
Gotcha.
Schiller.
Of
So I think it's going to be an interesting thing, but I give my hats back onto myself and put the mocker on James Schiller. I very apologise, James.
That's a
that
noble
happened.
move, Nagy, to
I
give
know,
yourself
yeah.
the hats back on. I respect that. I've got a lot of respect for that. I'll tell you else. Jack Cogger. Jai Gray, arguably one of the most exciting players in the comp this year.
Jackie's number.
There was about 3 or 4 times where he went to skip to the outside of Jack Cogger.
Yep.
And Jack Cogger got him every time with
Beautiful.
a classic legs, tackle around the hip, slide down. Really, really
Yep.
good stuff.
In the wet.
Yeah.
Slippery legs.
Still can't kick a steed to save his life.
No. But Jai Gray's legs are only this big.
He's not a very big man.
Once you go down the hips,
Yeah.
there's not much leg.
And the other thing we have to discuss, Nagy, is the crackdown on not having a crackdown.
Yeah.
So we have a still image here for those of you in the visual medium. You'll see this still image. For those of you in the audio medium, I'll describe it to you. It's Tavita Totola putting his entire shoulder in Kalen Ponga's mouth.
Last week.
Sin bin. 18 sin bins. That would have been one of them. This
Yeah.
week,
No sin
on
bin.
report, we'll say no more of it. Is this truly the crackdown on the crackdown? But that wasn't actually a crackdown, Nagy.
The NRL said we got.
Was there 18 sin bins on the weekend? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I couldn't tell.
They said, we're boiling pineapples. We've got them out of the way. We're back to rugby league football, and that's what we love. Head high, chop around the chops, stiff arm, the coat hanger, all of them. Throw back in there. You're never going to see 10 minutes off the field.
Now, do you think, Naggy, that obviously Mrs. Abdul Volandi's listen to the show, known enemies of the show, they maybe instituted this crackdown that wasn't a crackdown to make rugby league unwatchable, so that at Magic Round we truly do appreciate rugby league more than we did before?
Chef's kiss,
Was that maybe a masterstroke from those two men?
Stroke. It's certainly a stroke. I don't know about a master, but they've decided, whatever the reason is, to just not give any more sin bins, and I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I do it. I love this factory, Liam. I love this factory. Liam, we can't keep looking in the past with the great wins. We have more wins in the future. We look backwards on forwards, forwards on backwards, twirling, always twirling.
Looking for.
Thank you, Mr. Lug. We have the game against the Titans. Titans at home, Liam, has a very different feel to Titans away.
Yeah, it has the exact opposite feel, in fact, because we win every time as opposed to losing every time up there.
It's a weird thing that we have with the Titans. We say, you come play us, we'll beat you, and then we'll come play you and you beat us.
It's so strange. I'd love to see if such a record exists anywhere else in the NRL, because surely it can't.
They may as well shake hands, exchange the 2 points, and say, let's call it a day.
That sounds great.
We'll stay at home.
Sounds fantastic.
Three. We get an extra pie. We'll walk out there, pat each other on the bum. It doesn't have to be anything too serious.
What a great day that sounds like. That's my kind of rugby league. My kind of rugby league.
The Gold Coast Titans are a funny team, and they found themselves in
They're
turmoil
a
once
ludicrous
again.
team. They make no sense.
They've taken the 5-game losing streak off our hands because we had it last week. We no longer do, or we still do, but there's a win involved. If you look at the form there, they've lost 5. We've lost 4.
Well, that's it. That form guide between these two teams have collectively won 1 game out of the last collective 10.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. But what a luxury, Naggy. What a luxury to be able to name an unchanged side. It's not a luxury Adam O'Brien's had throughout the year at all.
His career, really. I don't think, we've managed to no suspensions, no injuries, which gives us a lot of hope, a lot of courage going into this game against the Gold Coast Titans. They do have a bit of danger. We didn't, obviously, Tino, you say he's the
remarkable, very, very good player. Tino,
thank you. And his brother with the same surname, but a different first name, and Isaac.
I think both for Moore's one to watch. He's in, he'd be in contention for State of Origin this year on the second row for Queensland. He's been playing some really good footy. Knights never should have let him go.
Yep.
Philip, goes to Christmas Pass. Philip's army's weird, just does weird stuff. Lofiana Khan Pereira, fastest man on earth. So, I don't know. There is something there at the Gold Coast. They
absolutely.
have things. They just don't know how to use them.
Jojo Fafita against Greg Marju is a dangerous thing because Jojo likes to jump and Greg Marju can't. So, if you're going to kick a ball anything higher than about 1.5 meters,
it's Jojo's.
Jojo's is going to get it every day of the week. Philip Sammy is the hot and cold, rocks and diamonds sort of a player. They have also welcoming back their halfback, Jaden Campbell. And the small man seemed to do terrible, terrible things to the Newcastle Knights defence. But hopefully we see some more Fletcher Sharp magic to really put the points on and do those remarkable things, and then give Bradman Best, Danga Guy, and Kalen Ponga the kind of room to move and shake.
That's it. It's time. We've seen the blueprint for AOB football in the game just gone. Don't attack in any sort of exciting, wonderful way. No. Just give the ball to the good people and let them do good things.
That's right.
Simple. It's simple.
Under
rugby
13s.
league.
Under 13s. There's always 2 players that were the best. You just give the ball to them.
Yep, absolutely.
Were
you one of them, Naggy?
No, never.
I was. I definitely was.
You were one of them.
Yeah.
So we're
I scored 4 tries in my first game for Wanderers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, under 13s. Never played a game of rugby union in my life. 4 tries.
We're tickling the balls of the top 8, Liam, and we could find ourselves from being the embarrassment of the comp.
One win outside of the 8, Naggy. Isn't it remarkable?
It is.
Amazing. What a time we're living in.
We're finding ourselves in point scoring position once again. If we can tidy up all of the bits and pieces around the
bits and the bobs.
The bits and the bobs.
Tidy up
the bits. Yeah.
Tell you what, if you want your bits and bobs tidied up around the house,
who are you going to call?
The appliance guy.
The appliance guy. Kay Chesworth, please give your...
Because I can't tell the bits from the bobs.
No,
I don't know which is the bit and which is the bob.
As soon as there's a chord, I'm lost. Yeah. All you can do is try to turn it off and on again. If it doesn't work, call Kay Chesworth. He's going to fix you all of your appliances, all the bits, and all of the bobs.
What's that theme song again?
0414 760 542.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lug. Liam, hopefully we'll be coming back here next week to talk about the Newcastle Knights defeating the Gold Coast Titans on on another 2-game winning streak. Ooh, it's a very exciting. But if you like us, you can follow us on all of the social pipes, including SoundCloud's the only one we don't have anymore. Facebook, Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, Apple Tunes, and Instagram. Thank you very much for joining me, Liam. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much to myself as well. It's also been a pleasure. But to play us out is our musical guest this week, Mr. Sumplug.
Wonderful, boys. Very, very good.